So I figured I'd do this video, get it out the way now. I just finished. So this is a video about some of the fears of flying while fat, and how it overcame them on my trip that I'm currently on, where I traveled from Portland, Oregon to Ghana, which was over 24 hours of travel. I went to 3 different airports. I also experienced a 11-hour layover in JFK Airport, and I just wanted to share my experience for any of y'all that are on the larger size and want to travel and maybe even do your first international travel and want to know what my experience is. So the areas that I'll be talking about and sharing is about seatbelts, because that was one of my biggest fears. The bathroom, being able to walk to and from the gate, stand in line for different for security and customs, and how to just be able to get to where I needed to get to on time, and seating. Those were the areas that I'm going to be talking about. So I arrived in JFK around 4 a.m. My flight was at 6 a.m. And JFK is actually, feels like it's a smaller airport comparatively to JFK. I hope I said Portland. I arrived to Portland, Oregon Airport, so PDX at 4 a.m. for a 6:20, and Portland's airport is a lot smaller than JFK's. And when I walked in, I was immediately greeted by some like a worker, and I told him that this was my first flight and I need help kind of getting ready to go, and I also needed help with wheelchair assistance. He took me right over to where Delta, which is where I was flying, their wheelchair assistance section was, and I sat down, and immediately he actually went up to the people that were checking in. There was a line of people waiting to be checked in, but he went straight up to one of the employees, and she came over to me and was helping me through the check-in process, and I gave her my paperwork, and we did that. And then another employee came with a wheelchair, and this wheelchair is kind of like a metal, almost like kind of a cart with a cushion. It does have arms, but the arms are, you can lift them up, so that was the wheelchair. After the whole check-in process, the guy actually takes you through the process and gets you to your gate. So because I was able to have wheelchair assistance, I had to give over the shame, the looking down on that's what I needed, and advocate for what I needed, which is, I was so grateful that I had that option, because it did get me through the security process, and it was very, very long process. It would have been a very long process without a lot of standing and walking. So it also allowed me to do pre-boarding, and on the Portland flight, they were on it. So I was one of the first people to get onto the plane. They already had it set up where my 2 seats, I was in a row with 3 seats. I had bought 2 seats for this flight, and they had rearranged the plane so that I actually had all 3 seats to myself. They had set up the seatbelt extension for me. They helped me with the bags. Now, the alleyway to walk through the airport, or the plane, narrow. Give you context, I wear 5X, size 32, and clothes as plus size clothing. So it was very narrow to walk through that walkway. But because I pre-boarded and it wasn't bumping into anyone, took my time, got into my seat. The leg room was not good, and there was nothing I could do about it. I ended up going with a main economy seat because I needed the arms to lift up for me. I wanted the arms to lift up. And once I had the arms lifted up, the actual seating and the seat was comfortable. It was fine. It was just the actual leg room. And really, on that domestic plane, no matter where I was going to sit, I wasn't going to have that much more leg room. So I just had to deal with it. And luckily I am 5'5", so I do have shorter legs, but my legs were hitting the back of the seat in front of me. I didn't have to use the bathroom on that plane. Got to JFK. JFK was going to be a 10-hour flight to Accra. But before that, I had an 11-hour layover. And when I tell you, that was a rough layover. Because one of the things that in the airports that I noticed is a lot of the chairs do not have lifting armrests. So the chairs have the armrests, and it's an uncomfortable sit. So I ended up either sitting in the wheelchair they had provided me, or going way out of my way to find like a stool or something in a different part of the airport. So boarded the JFK flight, and they were a little more rushed in the process. I didn't get to get on the plane first so that I get situated. They just started letting people on the plane, and so I was bumping into people getting to my seat. I did have to request my seatbelt extension. I wasn't embarrassed about doing that. Again, advocating for myself. The only focus that I was like fearful of was I looked at the bathroom and was like, oh, am I able to get in the bathroom? Because I knew being on a 10-hour flight, I'm going to have to use the restroom. So once everyone got settled in their seats and before the flight took off, I just tested it out. I went to the bathroom, 17-inch wide doorway. I did squeeze through it, and the bathroom was a very tight fit, but I was able to use the bathroom, so I was so grateful for that. So again, the leg room was very tight. I had 2 seats to myself. The actual seats, no problem with that. Very comfortable with the seats, but the actual leg room was very tight. And that's because I have belly and I have butt. So, it's already going to extend me out in the space. So anyway, what I have to say overall, these are the fears that all, you might be experiencing if you want to travel, and it might be the reason why you have not traveled. You're going to be having to weigh your desire to want to see the world, see what's out there with your comfort and your space. It's going to be, you have to be adaptable with it, and you have to advocate where there's opportunity to advocate. Me asking for 2 seats, me asking for a seatbelt, me, seeing if there's any arrangements, and, asking for a wheelchair. These are ways that you can advocate. You might not be able to do that with the leg room, but you do what you can. So, this is my experience flying. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make another video. Peace.